Overnight, into April 16th, Ukraine delivered a message to Putin that no amount of Kremlin spin can explain away. 16 military targets, one night, Donetsk, Crimea, Zaporizhia, and then deep inside Russia itself, where one of the 10 largest oil refineries in the entire country turned into what eyewitnesses described as a volcano visible from the Black Sea. This was not a random strike package. This was not opportunistic targeting. This was the debut of something Ukraine has spent a year building in secret. A medium-range drone campaign that has just tripled the size of every kill zone on the front line and turned Russia's rear areas into targets that Russian commanders never believed Ukraine could reach. The Magyar Birds, one of Ukraine's most effective drone units, posted 6 words on April 16th that the Kremlin did not want the Russian people to read. "Worms, you are finished. We are just warming up the engines." They were not speaking metaphorically, and what you are about to see is why Putin's entire spring offensive just ran into a problem it has no answer for. To understand why April 16th changes everything, you need to understand the gap that Ukraine just filled. For most of this war, Ukraine's drone strategy operated at 2 extremes. Short-range FPV drones dominated the front line, hunting infantry, destroying vehicles, and turning every Russian advance into a passage through a drone-saturated kill zone that extended approximately 50 kilometers beyond the front. At the other extreme, long-range strategic drones reached deep into Russian territory, striking refineries, ammunition facilities, and military infrastructure hundreds of kilometers from the front. But between those 2 ranges sat a gap. Targets in occupied Ukrainian territory, 20 to 300 kilometers behind the front line. Command posts, air defense systems, ammunition warehouses, drone hubs, missile launch complexes. All of them sitting in what Russia believed was a safe rear area, beyond the reach of Ukraine's short-range systems and too close for the valuable long-range strategic drones to be regularly deployed against. Russia built its entire logistical architecture around the assumption that this middle zone was protected. That assumption just became the most expensive miscalculation of the entire war. Consider what Russia's rear area actually looked like before Ukraine filled this gap. Command posts coordinating assault operations against the fortress belt cities sat comfortably beyond FPV drone range, issuing orders without fear of interruption. Ammunition convoys moved through occupied territory on predictable routes, resupplying frontline units at regular intervals. Air defense systems protecting these logistics networks operated without serious threat, their radar systems scanning for long-range strikes while ignoring the medium-range threat that did not yet exist. Russian commanders held briefings in facilities they believed were untouchable. Drone operators ran training sessions in workshops that felt permanently secure. The entire rear area architecture of Russia's Donetsk offensive was built on the assumption that 50 kilometers of drone-free space separated its critical infrastructure from anything Ukraine could reach on a daily basis. That assumption is now gone permanently. The Atlantic Council reports that Ukraine began a concerted effort to fill this gap in early 2025, developing a new generation of medium-range drones capable of hitting targets in the 20 to 300 kilometer range, cheaper than long-range strategic systems, more capable than frontline FPV drones, designed specifically for the targets Russia had been hiding in what it thought was safety. Between March 2025 and March 2026, Ukraine conducted 365 medium-range strikes, precisely 1 per day for an entire year. Half of those strikes targeted Russian air defense systems in the occupied regions, systematically dismantling the radar networks and missile batteries, protecting the infrastructure Ukraine needed to reach next. April 16th was not the beginning of this campaign. It was the moment the campaign reached its full operational capacity. The strike package on April 16th began in Donetsk, where Ukraine targeted the infrastructure directly sustaining Russia's spring offensive. An OSA-AK air defense system in the occupied settlement of Vodian went down first. Russia had positioned that system specifically to protect logistical facilities in the area from exactly the kind of drone strike that just destroyed it. With the air defense gone, the corridor opened. Then Ukraine found something more valuable: the Rubicon unit, Putin's own elite drone warfare specialists, created specifically to replicate what Ukraine has already achieved in unmanned systems. An unmanned aerial vehicle facility in Hern, used by Rubicon as both a drone depot and an active workshop, was destroyed by Ukraine's first separate center of the unmanned systems forces. And here is the part that makes this particularly significant. Ukraine did not just destroy Russian equipment. Ukraine destroyed Russia's ability to respond in kind. The unit that Putin built to challenge Ukraine's drone dominance just had its primary facility eliminated by the exact capability it was designed to counter. Russia's drone warfare ambitions in Donetsk took a direct hit on the same night Russia is supposed to be advancing through the fortress belt. The footage shared by the Magyar Birds tells the rest of the story. 6 minutes of high-definition, full-color targeting footage showing Ukrainian drones traveling deep into occupied Donetsk, striking convoys, armored vehicles, troop concentrations, and logistical infrastructure with a precision and persistence that Russian air defenses could not interrupt. Over and over, target after target, the drones kept coming. And Russia's air defenses, supposedly protecting these facilities, were nowhere to be seen, because Ukraine had already spent a year removing them. Ukraine's kill zone has just tripled in size. Early in 2025, Russian troops navigating toward Ukrainian defensive positions had to survive approximately 50 kilometers of drone-saturated territory before they could even begin their assault. Every vehicle, every infantry squad, every supply convoy moving through that zone was under continuous observation and constant threat. Russia accepted those losses because the rear area beyond 50 kilometers felt safe. Commanders could plan, supplies could move, equipment could be staged and maintained without fear. Now that safe boundary has been pushed back to 150 kilometers. Troops who thought they were resting safely behind the front are now inside Ukraine's operational envelope. Supply convoys that felt protected are now targets. Command posts that coordinated the spring offensive from what felt like a secure distance are now being struck before the orders they issue can even reach the front line. From Donetsk, the strike package moved to Crimea, and the targets chosen there tell you exactly what Ukraine's medium-range strategy is designed to accomplish. 2 deployment bases for Russia's Iskander ballistic missile systems were destroyed. These are the facilities from which Russia launches the missile strikes that have been hitting Ukrainian cities and infrastructure throughout the conflict. Ukraine's logic is precise. Intercepting Iskander missiles in flight requires expensive air defense missiles and produces dangerous debris. Destroying the bases before the missiles are ever loaded costs far less and eliminates the threat entirely. On April 15th, just 1 day before the main strike package, Ukraine had already demonstrated its improving ability to defeat Iskanders in flight, neutralizing 3 of them in under an hour. But Ukraine understands that destroying the launch infrastructure is more efficient than burning through interceptor stocks defending against missiles that should never have been fired. A Pantsir S-1 air defense system in Feodosia went down next. Every air defense system destroyed in Crimea opens another aerial corridor that Ukraine's drones can fly through to reach the next target. This is the systematic logic that has driven half of all Ukraine's medium-range strikes for the past year. Then the oil depots burned. Ukraine's 9th Battalion of the 414th Brigade targeted 2 fuel storage facilities at Hlyboki Yar and Oktyabrski. These are not random targets. Fuel is the lifeblood of Russia's mechanized offensive in Donetsk. Every tank, every armored vehicle, every logistics truck running supplies to the front requires a continuous fuel supply flowing from storage facilities exactly like the ones Ukraine just destroyed. Cut the fuel, slow the offensive, force Russia to divert resources from combat to logistics repair. An ammunition depot used by the Black Sea Fleet was also destroyed. A fleet that has already lost a third of its warships and been driven from its main Crimean port is now watching its remaining ammunition supply disappear. And then Ukraine reached into Russia itself. In Krasnodar Krai, near the settlement of Tuops, Ukraine's drones found the Rosneft oil refinery, one of the 10 largest refineries in all of Russia. A facility processing 12 million tons of oil products annually, responsible for up to 10% of Russia's total petroleum exports. Ukraine struck the fuel tanks. The regional governor offered the predictable explanation that drone debris caused the fires. The fires were visible from the Black Sea. A refinery that contributes 10% of Russia's petroleum exports does not ignite from debris. This strike completed a picture that has been forming across weeks of Ukrainian operations. Baltic Sea infrastructure burning, Crimean oil depots destroyed, now one of Russia's largest domestic refineries, producing a volcano visible from international waters. Ukraine is not just hitting military targets. Ukraine is methodically dismantling the energy infrastructure that funds Russia's war machine and fuels its military operations. Russia has nowhere left that feels safe from Ukraine's reach. The pattern that emerged across April 16th reveals the strategic intelligence behind Ukraine's target selection. Every air defense system destroyed opens a corridor. Every corridor enables a strike on the next layer of protected infrastructure. Every oil depot that burns reduces the fuel available for Russian mechanized operations. Every ammunition depot destroyed means Russian assault units arrive at the front with less firepower than they needed. Every drone facility eliminated reduces Russia's ability to contest Ukrainian aerial dominance. None of these strikes are isolated events. They are sequential moves in a campaign designed to progressively degrade every system Russia depends on to sustain its offensive. Ukraine is not just destroying targets. Ukraine is dismantling the entire operational architecture that makes Russian advances in Donetsk possible, one precision strike at a time, night after night, with no indication of stopping. Here is what April 16th means for America, and it is the dimension that most coverage fails to capture fully. The medium-range drone capability that Ukraine just unleashed on 16 targets in a single night was developed, refined, and deployed with American backing, Allied support, and the intelligence infrastructure that only American strategic partnerships can provide. The Deep Strike Coordination Center that Robert Brovdy, commander of Ukraine's Unmanned Systems Forces, revealed following the April 16th operations exists because America helped Ukraine build the command and control architecture necessary to coordinate simultaneous strikes across multiple regions against multiple target categories in a single operational window. What often gets overlooked is this. Every air defense system Ukraine destroyed in Crimea over the past year to open the corridors that April 16th flew through represents a decision made by American-backed intelligence networks about which targets to prioritize and when. The systematic campaign that made April 16th possible was not improvised. It was planned, resourced, and executed with the kind of precision that only comes from years of American investment in Ukraine's strategic capabilities. Every American taxpayer who has supported Ukraine's defense should understand what their investment is producing right now in the occupied territories and inside Russia itself. 16 targets destroyed in one night. An elite Russian drone warfare unit's primary facility eliminated. 2 Iskander missile bases in Crimea removed from the operational equation. One of Russia's 10 largest oil refineries burning. This is what American commitment to Allied defense produces when it is sustained over years and backed by genuine strategic purpose. For the first time in this conflict, Ukraine has a drone capability for every range on the battlefield. Short-range FPV systems dominating the front line. Medium-range drones destroying Russia's rear area infrastructure. Long-range strategic systems reaching deep into Russian territory. 3 overlapping layers of drone coverage that together eliminate every safe zone Russia thought it had. Our men and women who trained Ukrainian forces, provided targeting intelligence, and ensured the technology reached the front lines are part of every one of those 16 burning targets. 16 targets, one night, Donetsk, Crimea, Zaporizhia, Krasnodar Krai. Russia's kill zones used to extend 50 kilometers from the front. Ukraine just tripled that range. The rear areas where Russian commanders staged their forces, stored their ammunition, parked their air defense systems, and stockpiled the fuel that moves their offensive forward are now inside Ukraine's operational envelope. Putin's spring offensive was designed around a rear area that Russia believed was protected. That protection has been systematically removed over the past year. And April 16th was the night Ukraine showed Russia exactly what that means in practice. 6 straight weeks of declining approval ratings for Putin inside Russia, recorded by Russian state-owned polling agencies that massage their numbers to show the best possible picture for the Kremlin. After April 16th, those numbers are not going to recover. For 4 years, Putin told the Russian people this war was winnable, manageable, and worth the sacrifice. Ukraine just demonstrated that no part of Russia's military infrastructure, from the front line to the refineries inside Russia itself, is safe from what Ukraine has built. Is Russia's spring offensive already collapsing under the weight of an opponent that just tripled the size of every kill zone on the battlefield? Or does Putin have one more strategic move that changes what April 16th started? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment. If you want daily coverage that does not sugarcoat what is actually happening, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I post every single day, and I am not stopping.